Hey folks, and welcome to Maverick Gun Works. Today we're going to talk about the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 38. And here we have that firearm that is made in the USA. Alrighty. First thing we're going to do with any firearm is we're going to open the cylinder to make sure that it is unloaded. And to clean this thing, let's run a solvent patch through each of the 5 chambers and one also through the cylinder. After it soaks for 5 minutes or so, we're going to follow that up with a clean dry patch and then finally with a damp oil patch. I highly recommend that you use a synthetic lubricant for any firearm lubrication, simply because if there's an exposure to weather conditions, extremes, the synthetic lubricant is much better as far as not being stiff, I guess you say, in cold weather. It's one of the very best things about it. Another plus I want to show you with this particular firearm is that it is rated for 38 plus P ammo. That being the case, again, we want to make sure that we have, if you're going to be using plus P ammunition, make sure the firearm is rated for such so that you don't run the risk of damaging the frame of the gun. The plus P means that it is a little bit more, I want to say, hotter load than the standard 38 special would be. Alrighty. One of the things about cleaning also I want to mention is that with any firearm, especially one that you're going to conceal carry, you have to consider the fact that there are openings all around the mechanical parts of the gun, like here around the trigger, for example. Also on the locking lug down here in the bottom of the frame. This locking lug moves, it recesses into the gun every time you fire the gun. And that being the case, you have the opportunity for dirt and grit to get down inside the frame. Over time, that can accumulate and cause wear. Also could cause malfunction. I know for most of what we do here, I recommend that every couple of years or so, you have the gun disassembled. If you can't do it yourself, find maybe a local gunsmith or somebody that you trust to disassemble the gun completely. What I recommend here too also is that we ultrasonic clean the guns. We put the whole thing in ultrasonic bath, and from that we go to an ultrasonic oil tank where we make sure that we get all the dirt out of it in places that you normally wouldn't be able to get to, and also re-lubricate it so that you're not going to have to worry about any malfunctions after that. All right. With this gun design, we have a internal hammer where there's nothing exposed on the outside. That being the case, it makes the gun very slender and very appealing for concealed carry use. So there's nothing here to hang up on your clothing or inside a purse, for example. Now we also have the addition of a laser. Okay. Here we have a red button on top of the frame, and although this gun can be purchased without a laser, we have one here with the laser from the factory. As we depress the red button, by golly, we have a laser here. Alrighty. We press the button again, the laser flashes, and the third time, the laser goes off. I'll have to touch base too on the fact that it is a double action only handgun, which means as you squeeze the trigger, the hammer is cocking and also firing the hammer. And that being the case, it's going to be a long trigger pull, and this one is a fairly smooth trigger pull. It just takes a little effort, as any factory gun would be, to make the gun fire. And let's do a quick trigger pull test here with our trusty gauge. We're going to hook our gauge into the trigger, give her a tug, and see what we come up with as far as effort to make the gun fire. It's way beyond what my gauge will withstand or accurately read, but I'm guessing it's somewhere around 10 or 11 pounds from what I can tell here. All right. That being the case, I'm going to compare that real quickly to another double action revolver, this one being a Rossi 357 caliber. Right. However, this one has an exposed hammer, which means we can manually cock the gun and pull the trigger and shoot it single action if we so desire. That being the case, though, with an exposed hammer compared to our 38 Smith & Wesson, we have the possibility of the hammer hanging up on your clothing or possibly inside your purse and snagging on something, and that way being a little bit of a deterrent or possibly not being able to draw the gun out quickly if you needed to. All right. That being said, what I'm going to do let's take another trigger pull test here and see what we have on this particular firearm. And good gracious, this one is double action. Double action pull goes well beyond even what the Bodyguard had shown us, in that it's probably 12 pounds or more. The way the gauge pull, actually gauge bottomed out before the trigger activated. But just for giggles, let's check it with a single action trigger pull. We go ahead and cock the hammer. We're going to test that one, and we end up with about 3.5, 3 3/4 pounds trigger pull as a single action. Alrighty. So that just gives you an example of single versus double action. But for a final test, I'm going to bring out this little jewel. This is also another copy of the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 38. And this one is well worn. This is one of the original versions. I've had this gun for about 6 or 7 years, I guess now. And this gun has been altered a little bit. We've done some trigger work on it. And at the same time, this gun has been used in our concealed carry classes. We have students that have rented this gun, and it's been used a lot over the years. But I just want to give you an example of what the trigger could possibly be. If you look at this, we end up with 6 1/4 or so pounds of pressure to make that gun function, versus about 12 pounds in the original version that has not been altered. So you can see there is a possibility of being able to make the trigger better as far as effort to pull it without the gun being, I want to say, reliability issue. How about that? That gun that I just showed you has been used in our classes, like I said, and it's never been an issue as far as reliable goes. Let's compare this also to the possibility of using this versus a semi-automatic for concealed carry. If you're going to carry a gun in your purse, I highly recommend it being a double action revolver. Reason being, if you used a semi-automatic in your purse and had to use the gun for self-defense without drawing it from the purse, you're never going to get off but one shot, because the semi-automatic, being the slide, has to move when the gun is fired, and also the spent shell has to be ejected from the gun to make the second follow-up shot load to the gun. Well, inside a purse, you don't have that possibility. The first shell is going to get jammed because there's nowhere for it to go, and also there's not enough space for the slide to operate, so you'll end up with the gun jamming. Alrighty. You're much better off with a concealed carry gun in your purse as being a revolver in that situation. That pretty much concludes our review of the Bodyguard 38 by Smith & Wesson. And I tell you, if you guys are in the neighborhood of Central North Carolina, come by and give us a visit. Thanks for watching.